Ball. B-A-L-L. 2 plus 1 plus 12 plus 12 equals 27. Hand. H-A-N-D. 8 plus 1 plus 14 plus 4 equals 27. Red. R-E-D. 18 plus 5 plus 4 equals 27. Code. Code. C-O-D-E. 3 plus 15 plus 4 plus 5 equals 27. Code. Jake. Jake. J-A-K-E. 10 plus 1 plus 11 plus 5 equals 27. Bike. B-I-K-E. 2 plus 9 plus 11 plus 5 equals 27. Red bike. Code by Jake. M-N. M-N. Minnesota. M plus N. 13 plus 14 equals 27. So red bike. Code by Jake. Minnesota. Ball. Soccer ball. Jake. Jake Wetterling. Jake Wetterling from Minnesota was born on Friday the 17th of February 1978. So why all the 27s? Who is turning 27 on Friday 9th of March 2018? It's 3:55. Satan equals 55. S-A-T-A-N. Satan, 55. Sunday, February 18, 2018. Jake died on a Sunday. Satan equals 55. And Jake died on a Sunday. Who is Satan? Isn't he the boy in red? The red boy? The bad boy? I believe so. I believe Satan is the red hell boy. The hell-raising boy. The boy in red. Sunday. Die Day. Sunday, the 18th of February, 2018. In 19 days, it will be Friday, the 9th of March, 2018. But what if you're in Minnesota? What do you do with a bad boy named Satan? You whip him, don't you? To make him good? Do you reject him? Do you banish him? Do you spank him? Do you whip him? Whip equals 56. But the time just clicked onto 57. That's the value of Rose. Rose, 57. Something in the Dark Tower by Stephen King. Rose. There are 17 locations listed here. 17 is the number of hours difference between Minnesota in the USA, where it's now 10:57, and New South Wales in Australia, where it's 3:57. Interesting. 19 days until Friday 9th of March. Who is turning 27 on Friday 9th of March? 19 days after Jake's birthday. True, because it is Jake's birthday. I live on a property called Spring Valley. That's also a place in Minnesota. See? Minnesota. Spring Valley. It's 10:58 p.m. on Saturday, 17th of February 2018. Still an hour left in Jake's birthday. On Jake's birthday. In Jake's birthday. 10:58. Nathan equals 58. Nathan. Who is Nathan? Nathan, 58. Calendar, 58. German, 58. Nathan's not German, but Jacob is. Minnesota, there's lots of German settlements in Minnesota. Lots of Germans. And the guy who killed Jake was German. But Jake's German too. Wetterling is a German name. Wetterling means weather child in German. 58, German. Calendar, German. Nathan, 58. Who is Nathan? 5 plus 8 equals 13. 59, the value of slave. Slave, 59. Who is Satan? Is Satan a slave to God? Is God a slave master? 59. Cruel equals 59. Wasp equals 59. It's 10:59 p.m. on Saturday, 17th of February 2018. Jake's birthday. Jake would have turned 40 this year. The value of the word pain. Pain, P-A-I-N. Cruel, wasp. Slave equals 59. Pain, 40. The age Jake would have turned today. We are 19 days away from Friday, the 9th of March, 2018. It's 4 p.m. It's 11 p.m. 17 hours difference. 17 locations in Minnesota. And did you know Jake had a dog named Marcus? True, he did. God equals 26. Dog equals 26. Spell God backwards, you get dog. Hugo was a hurricane. Hugo didn't hit Minnesota actually. It hit America though. It came right across the Atlantic. It hit heaps of places, including Puerto Rico and heaps of places, and then hit America. Just a couple of weeks before Jake died actually. Hurricane Hugo was a big one. Hurricane Hugo would have been quite fresh in Jake's mind at the time of his death. 11. It's 59 minutes left. It's 11:01. 59 minutes left on Jake's birthday. So, Jake. Who's Nathan? Nathan's your friend, right? Your friend in the underworld. Nathan Breeze. An Australian boy. An Australian boy who isn't so sure that you should treat Satan like an alien. Not so sure you should alienate Satan. Not so sure that you should demonize anybody. Not so sure at all. There were people who said that everyone who died in the Black Saturday bushfires deserved to die because Australia is a fag-loving nation. That was Fred Phelps from the Westboro Baptist Church. People say, oh, he's just a wacko, cult leader. Not a real Christian. Just a crazy guy. Crazy, maybe. But a lot of what he said was straight from the Bible. A lot of what he said is straight from the Bible. And Nathan doesn't like that type of talk. Not after dying in a bushfire. No. No. Nathan's got something on his shirt here. It looks like a train. And there's a line in The Dark Tower by Stephen King. Blaine is a pain, and that is the truth. Jake Chambers wrote that in his English essay, but then he couldn't remember writing it. Blaine is a pain, and that is the truth. Nathan, handsome, good-looking boy. Dead at 13. Jake, handsome, good-looking boy. Dead at 11. 11 and 13 equal 24. Nathan Breeze was born on Friday the 24th of November, 1995. Jake, Friday the 17th of February, 1978. Born years apart. They didn't know each other in this world, but they know each other in the world they're in now. How do I know this? How do I know they know each other? I just know. I just know they told me. And they don't treat Satan like an alien. They don't demonize. They don't put anyone down below, because down below is a place they've both been. Jake and Nathan have both been down below. They've been there. They've been in hell. Hell was on earth. Hell was a place they went to. Nathan and Jake met each other in hell. They both left hell together. Sometimes to escape from what's evil, you have to be smart. You have to be smart like a little demon, like a bad boy. Otherwise you're just a sheep and a slave to what's evil, to what's truly evil and cold. And that's not Satan. Satan's the boy in red. Jake is Satan. So, what happened on Jake's birthday? It's still Jake's birthday. Still 54 minutes left. Or at least 53 and a half. Well, there's still an eye in this cyclone. There's a cyclone off Western Australia. It still has a little eye. It never had an eye while it was over the ocean, but now it has an eye, now that it's over the land. Strange. Sunday, 18th of February. Jake Wetterling died on the 22nd. Melbourne has just sat on 22 all day today. Nathan Breeze died near Melbourne. He died at Kinglake West. It was Saturday. Saturday the 7th of February, 2009. Jake equals 27. That's the temperature right now in Perth. He died on the 22nd. Adelaide's almost 23. Hobart, 17. 17 is the date of Jake's birthday, the 17th of February. Today, in Minnesota. In 19 days, it will be Friday, the 9th of March. 19 days from today, Sunday, until Friday, 9th of March. Who's turning 27? Who is turning 27? Says Jake. Or maybe that was Oi. Darwin, 31. Not unusual. Darwin's nearly always 31. Nathan was quite familiar with Darwin. He went there quite a lot. Hobart, 17. Jake's birth date. 19. The number of days. Jake, 27. God equals 26. Dog equals 26. Spell God backwards and you get dog. Turn 6 on its head and you get 9. True. Turn 6 on its head and you get 9. Gita hit Tonga at midnight on Tuesday the 13th of February. That was this storm here. It's come pretty close to Australia. Now it's heading for New Zealand. Jake he actually lived on Kiwi Street. Kiwi Street in St. Joseph, Minnesota. Look at all this cloud. St. Cloud is a town near St. Joseph in Minnesota. St. Cloud is where Jake used to play ice hockey. You saw the photo, didn't you? Did I show you Jake in his ice hockey gear? Jake was an ice hockey player. He was a goalie. And he played ice hockey in St. Cloud on the morning that he died. He died that night. The victim of a stranger abduction. The rarest kind of abduction, the rarest kind of kidnapping. He was taken by a stranger while riding his bike with his brother and his best friend. So random. So unlucky. So unlucky. So unlucky. Nathan, his 2 sisters and his mum, and a family friend tried for hours to evacuate and then ended up going back to their house after being unable to evacuate. before they died at around 6 p.m. on Saturday, 7th of February 2009. True. But that's no reason to treat Satan like an alien. Don't blame the bad stuff that happens in the world on Satan. Don't blame it on some demonized, supposedly evil beyond all. Yeah, because Satan, I'm not seeing much bad stuff being done in the name of Satan, to be honest. I'm seeing a lot of bad stuff being done by religious people in the name of God. Jake had a dog. His dog was named Marcus. It's true. Jake had a pet dog named Marcus. He named him after a football player because Jake was keen on sports. Marcus, Jake's dog. It's 4:09. It's 19 days away from Friday, 9th of March. Who turns 27? Someone obviously does. Or Jake wouldn't be talking about this, would he? No, he would not. He would not. And nor would Nathan. They don't talk about stuff for no reason. They might play the odd prank, pull the odd practical joke, be a bit mischievous, be a bit naughty, be a bit of a ratbag even, but that's not the same thing as being cold and indifferent to the suffering of other people, which is what I see a lot of Christians doing, and a lot of Muslims too, and a lot of Hindus, and a lot of Buddhists. Religion is not, it is not a description of good. Being Christian, being Hindu, being Buddhist, being a Muslim, it's not a description of being good. Being a ratbag, being mischievous, being cheeky, being full of life, having some character, being full of zest, being loving, being real, being kind-hearted, yet being naughty enough that you might sometimes deserve to be punished, is not the definition of evil. It's not the definition of true evil, is it, Jake? No, it's not. No. There's something worse than evil. There's something called indifference. It's very cold. It's where people just don't care at all. Surprising how many people call themselves religious, but they haven't read their religious book enough to know that when someone comes out and says awful stuff, following a natural disaster, saying, this is what God wants, because God hates fags, God hates these people, God hates those people. Sometimes it's straight from the religious book itself. It does say in the Bible, God destroyed Sodom, God destroyed Gomorrah. Homosexuality is an abomination. Nathan wasn't gay, he had a girlfriend. But you know what? Nathan would never, ever, ever treat someone differently just because they're gay, or just because they're Muslim, or just because they're Indian, or just because they're Chinese, or just because they're... No, Nathan's not that kind of boy. Nathan's not that kind of boy. Jacob's not that kind of boy. Jacob was a boy described by one of his teachers as believing in fairness, and that's because he did. If Jake saw something in the playground that he didn't think was fair, he would actually go and stick up for the other kid, and the kid that was being picked on, the kid that was being bullied, the kid that was being treated unfairly, Jake would go stick up for that kid. So what happened to Jake was particularly unfair when you think about it. But this is an unfair world, and the people that rule this world are not what they seem. They are nothing like what they seem. This world is so messed up. There is so much things that are back to front, inside out. So much. God spelt backwards, you get dog, happening in this world, that America's ended up with Donald Trump as their president. Russia's being led by Vladimir Putin. Men who talk about God, men who talk about love and God, men who talk about love and God in a way that gives both those words a pretty bad taste. Which is why Jake is the boy in red. That's why Jake is Satan. He prefers not to be a hypocrite, and he prefers to be a little bit more on the honest side. Maybe not completely honest, maybe not having to disclose everything about himself, maybe not honest to the point of self-defeating, but a little bit more honest to the point where he's not a complete hypocrite is how Jake likes to be. Despite being a prankster, despite being a practical joker, despite doing stuff for laughs, despite being a bit of a troublemaker, a bit mischievous, a bit naughty sometimes. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. That's normal. That's what a 12-year-old boy does. That's what an 11-year-old boy does. That's what a 13-year-old boy does. Anyway, that's Jake and Nathan. So maybe you know a little bit more about them now, and why seeing a cyclone like the Kelvinator on Jake's birthday is kind of interesting. Why is it kind of interesting? Because the Kelvinator formed on Jake's birthday. It made landfall on Jake's birthday, depending how you look at it, because it is still Jake's birthday. See? It is Jake's birthday, 11:15 p.m. Saturday, 17th of February 2018, in Hugo, Minnesota. So there you go. It's still Jake's birthday. And it's a few hours now since that cyclone made landfall. And what's so cool about that? Well, Jake's surname, Wetzling, means weather child. And the boy who is Jake's psychic reflection, the boy born on the 6th of September, well, that boy, his birthday coincided with the biggest landfalling hurricane on record for the Atlantic last year. 6th of September saw Hurricane Irma, 185 miles per hour. And that's pretty wild, but Hurricane Jose, Tropical Storm Jose, became Hurricane Jose also on Jake's birthday in 2017, last year. Not on Jake's birthday, on the birthday of the boy who is the reflection of Jake. So I guess kind of almost like Jake's birthday. The boy who is Jake's living, breathing reflection. Today, in the real world, today, in the living world of Earth. Yes, the boy who is Jake's reflection turns 15 on the same day that Jose became a hurricane in the Atlantic in 2017. And Irma made landfall on several islands that same day. Wednesday, September 6, 2017. So let's see what's happening with Kelvin. Kelvin on Jake's birthday in 2018.
Tropical Cyclone Kelvin crossed the 80-mile beach coastline of the West Kimberley region in Western Australia earlier this morning around 8 a.m. local time. Now, this region has already seen flooding. What you're seeing on screen is actually a vision from Saturday when huge sections of road have been closed, including parts of the Great Northern Highway, a very major road system through there. Obviously, transport, very difficult to get through these regions. On the satellite imagery, this massive cloud right over there, that is Tropical Cyclone Kelvin. If we look towards the Tasman, that's actually Tropical Cyclone Gita, which is going to be threatening New Zealand in the next few days. But that's the system of interest to the Kimberley region. Let's take a look at what's been happening underneath that cloud. We can track the radar imagery. This is from last night and into this morning. Bands of the outer bands of the cyclone have been lashing the coastline overnight, and into this morning, we really started to get a clear picture of that eye wall, which is around 25 to 30 kilometers in diameter, and notice how it crossed that coast to the south of the Bidyadanga region. As it was crossing, it actually got upgraded to a Category 2 tropical cyclone. Now sustained winds are around 110 kilometers an hour with gusts up to 155 kilometers an hour. The rain at 9 a.m. was pretty astounding throughout this region, and remember, both Broome and West Roebuck had at least 370 millimeters yesterday, so this is on top of that. West Roebuck has now seen over half a meter of rain in under 2 days. That is a lot of rain, and flooding is developing because of that. The latest watch and warning information on screen, there's just a tropical cyclone warning. Broome to Wollall Downs, it's been cancelled for Pardue Roadhouse. It's now just Wollall Downs and still extends inland to the Telfer region. As this system continues to move inland, it'll weaken because of the frictional effects of the surface, and so we should expect a Category 1 sometime later today, and even a tropical low by this evening, or if not this evening, then overnight. Even though it is still going to be a tropical low, the heaviest rain will still occur for this region, so the winds will drop down, but the rain is still going to be quite intense with flood warnings and watches still in place for this entire area. Now further to the south, we're going to concentrate a little bit on what this tropical moisture has been doing. Overnight, we had a lot of shower and storm activity across the west over here, and it hit places including Kalgoorlie. Now the latest rain to 9 a.m. shows Kalgoorlie picked up that 12 millimeters out of it, and Lamberton had about 4 millimeters. Now the upper cold pool, which is causing all this, has now shifted eastwards and is causing rain over South Australia and Victoria later today. It's going to be reaching these areas probably sometime in the evening for you in the Melbourne region. Very light rain, though. I wouldn't expect too much out of it. All right, turning our attention to Queensland now, where we had some pretty vicious storms overnight around that Maramba region. We actually had reports of pea-sized hail. Most of those storms moved offshore during the morning. Cairns still clocked up some pretty heavy rainfall totals. 12 millimeters falling in just 10 minutes' time. Most of that, of course, around 11 p.m. This afternoon, we're still anticipating showers and storms across a similar area, but unfortunately, due to the onshore nature of the winds, it's unlikely many of these storms will progress towards the coasts.
A few 27s. I noticed along the way there. A few coincidental weather reflections. There's a good one.
Hot and muggy day, and well, this is what Charters Towers was looking like on Saturday night. Charters Towers, Cairns, also the Innisfail area saw some storms overnight. In fact, Cairns picked up 13 millimeters in just 10 minutes at 11 p.m. on Saturday night. That hazardous surf warning extends for the New South Wales coastline on Sunday, also into Monday as well. Sydney, your forecast for...
So why pea-sized hail, Jake? Why not baseball-sized hail on your birthday? If you're the storm boy, why not go big? Isn't bigger better? No. Pea-sized hail's funnier. Much funnier.
Please do find us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram.
There's been a lot of showers and storms over the northwest. This has been due to the action of a tropical low. Now, in the northwest of Australia, well, we get dust storms when we get these big storm fronts moving through, because the storm front actually produced gusts right on its leading edge, and that kicks up any dry material on the ground. And for this area, the red center, well, that is dirt that gets kicked up. So quite mighty dust storms we get there, several kilometers high at times. Meanwhile, in Broome, we've had some record-breaking rainfall. It's caused some logistical problems for the observers over there at the Bureau of Meteorology, because we've had record-breaking rain. So that 371 millimeters to 9 a.m. yesterday was actually record-breaking for February. Records for Broome actually go back to the 1800s. And that is quite unusual to see that amount of rain falling in just one period of time, even for a tropical low or a tropical cyclone. This, of course, is off the back of what happened in January. January was the wettest January on record for Broome and large parts of the Kimberley and also large parts of the top end. So it has been, on the other hand, a phenomenal wet season for parts of the north of the country, including Darwin, which, of course, is just 100 meters shy of its entire wet season average, and we still have a few months to go. So the wet season has actually turned out very well. Last year's wet season, was actually one of the wettest on record. I think it was the wettest on record for Darwin, over 2.5 meters of rain there. We're now up to about 1.6 meters of rain for Darwin. All right, let's take a look at the rainfall forecast for what's coming this week. We do have a weak front clipping Tasmania today, an associated upper trough bringing some light patchy rain to the southeast. Otherwise, most of the rain is going to be falling to the west. When Tropical Cyclone Kelvin makes landfall afterwards, it'll quickly turn into a tropical low, and then that tropical low will continue to bring flooding rain. So no more gales, but the rain will just be almost as intense. In fact, that'll flood parts of the interior down to the Warburton districts. Now, next week we're also going to see a storm outbreak across the east. That's going to be kicking off from Monday, so stretching from the Gippsland region right up into Queensland, and then that storm activity by Wednesday, Thursday will contract further and further north. The remnants of the Tropical Cyclone Kelvin will then make its way to South Australia by the end of next week, bringing more showers, storms, and areas of rain with it, but it really depends on the track of a cold front, which looks to then arrive sometime late next week, and you can see that cold front does look to contain a fair bit of tropical moisture within it. All right, let's take a look at the rainfall forecast for today. We can see very heavy rain still expected for the Kimberley, the Pilbara region. Dry across large parts of the east, excluding Tasmania. Get some light patchy rain and maybe just some light rain as well across parts of South Australia this afternoon and Victoria later this evening. As we go into Monday, those storms likely across eastern Queensland, New South Wales, and down into Victoria. They do look like they could be severe, damaging wind gusts, heavy rainfall, the main risks associated with them. And then we'll also continue to see flooding rain across the west there. Tuesday, the storm area contracts further to the north, and then gusty showers for the New South Wales coast, heavy at times. Heavy rain continuing from Western Australia, flooding some areas and cutting off some communities likely. That persisting on Wednesday, and into Thursday, we're going to start to see that rain start to shift towards the southeast, and by Friday, well, it'll make its way into western New South Wales. And with the cold front on Saturday, we could actually see some good rain north of the Great Dividing Range in Victoria, so we'll hope to see that. So here's the rainfall over the next week. We do have some pretty big storms on the way for Queensland. It's storms, though, so unfortunately, this model tends to average rainfall totals out over distance rather than give you point location forecasts, and as a result, don't hang your hat that you're going to be getting 50 millimeters, for instance. If you're in the Central Highlands and Coalfields, I would take that with a grain of salt. That's the potential for what storms can bring. However, for the west here, I would rely on what's happening over there, over 100 millimeters, fairly widespread, stretching from the Pilbara right down into the Eucla region, with isolated totals in excess of 400 millimeters.
Wow.
Might smell a bit of smoke around this morning if you're in western parts of the Sydney Basin or the Blue Mountains region. That's because the Rural Fire Service of New South Wales is managing that large fire in the Putty area. That's over 10,000 hectares in size. Yesterday morning, that smoke was actually around parts of the central Tablelands region. Only called 000 for unattended fires. You don't have to call 000 for every fire that you see. Vegetation in this area is actually quite dry. This is a fire that's been very hard to control. It's been in a very dry area. That's parts of the Hunter region where it's being managed, and that smoke's actually drifting towards the Sydney Basin, so quite a large fire. Now, for western parts of Victoria, also very dry over the last week, and you can see the vegetation index basically brown there, so it's not very good in terms of the potential for fires. With the right weather conditions, you can get major bushfires in those sort of conditions. There's basically no threat of fires over the north. It's been way too wet over there. All right, we got a cold front slipping over Tasmania today. It's bringing gusty winds and some showers. It's still quite hot in northern Victoria, western New South Wales, and much of Queensland, but it's fairly muggy there as well, and as a result, particularly along the coast, there's no real fire danger. Where the elevated fire danger is today is actually on the western flank of Tropical Cyclone Kelvin, because that's where the gustiest winds are, and so you can see there's actually severe fire danger today across that Pilbara coastline, parts of the Ashburton Inland and the Exmouth Gulf Coast region. And that's because winds go clockwise around low pressure systems, so we have this pretty gusty offshore flow across the region. It's going to be bringing quite a hot day there with those gusty winds. It's unfortunately perfect conditions for fires. So we're actually going to see a continued elevation of fire danger for Western Australia throughout this week. For the east, not so much. We're actually seeing a cool change sweeping through on Monday and into Tuesday, and as a result, that fire danger is going to be largely tempered, maybe a little bit high in parts of Victoria due to those winds, but otherwise you can see that severe fire danger remaining for the Gascoyne coast and also that Pilbara coastline. As we go further ahead, Tuesday, it's cooling down now across all of New South Wales and most of eastern Queensland, and that has shifted that heat trough further inland, so no real fire danger to speak of. There is one area of severe fire danger on Tuesday, and that's the Exmouth Gulf Coast.